Hey guys, it's Jet888 here. It's October 8th. It's been a while. I'm going to start doing some short video clips on a few things I've been coming across. And today I'm going to be looking at the word. And I know a lot of you, if any of you followed me for any time at all, you've seen that I like to look at anagrams and I like to look at the gematria. If that's how you say it, gematria or gematria. It's the numerical value of words in numerology. So I wanted to just show you how I see, and I kind of feel like they are manipulating everything. They're trying to change what God, and as I see God, God is a frequency. It's a vibration. It's a frequency, and we all have a frequency about us. Everyone has a unique frequency, and I see that as being changed. And I'm going to try to show you why I'm seeing it this way. All right, so hang on. Now we're going to go to some dry stuff, not this beautiful little passion fruit flower. We're going to go look at the book real quick, and I'm by no means an expert at all. I'm a layman just looking at words. So hang with me and give me any feedback you have. I'd appreciate it. Thanks, guys. So what we're looking at here is the Fintan Farrar Bible, and it's the second half of it. It's the New Testament in modern English, and he has translated this. The first thing I'm going to look at is Saint John. It says the gospel is recorded by Saint John. I'm having a hard time seeing this because it's so bright in here, so I might just read. Hang on. Okay, it's a little bit of a better angle. So this says the Word and creation. The Word existed in the beginning, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He is using the word he for word. He was present with God at the beginning. All came into existence by the means of him, and nothing came into existence apart from him. What originated in him was life, and the life was the light of mankind. That light shines in the darkness, but the darkness does not absorb it. So this is what I wanted to look at, this part here, when it says the Word was God. And that's why I'm going to start focusing more on words, and I have been for quite a while, and how they rearrange them, just like we're seeing them rearrange the frequencies. Every word has a frequency. It has a vibration, and when you change that and rearrange it, and sometimes I think that they hide, in fact a lot of times I feel like they're hiding what they're really meaning to say in their words, and it's up to us to look a little bit deeper. So here we go. Now here I'm going to look at the word Holy Bible, and when you look at the anagram, it says by biohell, and I probably wouldn't have even thought of this or looked into this a little bit deeper, but the fact of what we're going through right now, to me, seems like a biohell, and the word bio equals God in gematria. It's the same numerology. In fact, if you look through all the dust on my computer here, just now I saw this flash down below. It said polluted air, and then I wanted to take a picture of it, but then it suddenly changed over to AQI, which is Air Quality Index, and it's at 107 right now. Now it just changed to upcoming earnings. Isn't that interesting? So there's the Air Quality Index logo, AQI. So look at this little rainbow chart, and that I thought it was at 107, right? So it's just low for the unhealthy for sensitive groups. Anyhow, okay, so I'm going to carry on. So we're looking at the Holy Bible equals by biohell, and bio equals God, and here it shows on the gematria. If we look at number 61, I don't know why my camera won't focus, but 61, if we come down, is also God. It's also China. China is chain. Hopefully that's a little bit better of a picture there. So back to it, China is chain, and God and China are the same, just like numerologically. Can I say that? It's foe also. Now another word I was looking at is eternal God. And I did looked at some anagrams here, and there's one is goaltender. And I think a lot of us have seen how they're moving the goals when it comes to definitions. So again, they'll take a word, like that famous V word that's involved with the needle crafting, um, and they've changed the definition of it. But anyhow, so goaltender, so they basically can move the goal, the way they want. So looking at goaltender, and the word tender means someone who tends to or takes care of something. And I also went over to look at the word eternal, and some of the synonyms meaning things that are the same as eternal. One of them is enduring and everlasting, immortal. So that kind of makes me feel or think about the ever living God. And back to the Fit and Farrar, the Bible, here's in Genesis, this is page 1. And on page 2 here, it talks about the creation planned by its creator. And this is where I see he caused it to grow even before the ever living God. So they mention the ever living God here. And if anyone's watched my information, my videos before, when I talk about Genesis, it's also C sign or is gene, is genes. And anyhow, the ever living God, it definitely shows you that he's probably a tender, the way he takes care of man, caused to grow. Ever living God caused to grow all the trees that were beautiful and food for God are good for food. So he talks about all of this. So it looks like he would be someone who tends the garden, tends man, tends life. And so looking again at the synonyms and antonyms, enduring, everlasting, immortal. And when I saw that everlasting, what it reminded me of is that everlasting battery. I just thought, they're always doing the everlasting. And notice the swish. I tried to move some of the dust away for you, but see the swish there? So, and also it reminds me of that rabbit, the Duracell, that's kind of like everlasting. And when I looked at everlast in gematria, it's interesting to me that everlast, this simple gematria there is 102. And if we flip that around, it's 201, like event 201, the John Hopkins University with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the whole start of that whole bio hell that most of us are dealing with. And also when I look at Duracell in gematria, Duracell, it has the same simple gematria as biblical God. And when I look at this little pink rabbit, see his thumbs? One thumb is down and one thumb is up, and it made me think of the so below, like as above and so below. Then when I looked at the word goaltender, I kept searching. When I looked for the word goal, it showed this page. It talks about the United Nations goals. And I'm going to read this. A goal is an idea of the future or desired result that a person or a group of people envision, plan, and commit to achieve. And basically, they have deadlines to reach their goals. So they had 8 goals, and I hope you can see this. It talks about, well, let me just go over here. So that those lists of goals I found this at the Millennium Development Goals for 2000 and 2015, and it talks about the United Nations. It says, at the United Nations Millennium Summit in 2000, world leaders pledged themselves to a landmark Millennium Declaration to make the world of the 21st century a safer and better place. So they've put it on themselves to act like the goaltenders or the eternal God. This goes on to say member states committed to a set of 8 time-defined development goals. The Millennium development goals that call for national action and international cooperation that's global to provide access to food, education, healthcare, and economic opportunities for children, women, and men everywhere. So that's one of their Millennium Developmental Goals. And in part of their goal number 8, because there was only 8 goals, it says right down here, deal comprehensively with the debt problem of developing countries through national and international measures. And it says, in order to make debt sustainable in the long term, in cooperation with the private sector, wouldn't that be PPP, the public-private partnerships? Make available the benefits of new technologies, especially information and communications technology. That would be IoT. I put a little note there. But look at this, in order to make debt sustainable. So I looked up debt. It says something owed, such as money, what's that? Goods or services. So something owed, an obligation or liability to pay or render something to someone else. The condition of owing. So they want to make it sustainable that you are always in debt. And the word sustainable. Number 2, capable of being continued with minimal long-term effects on the environment. So capable of being sustained or maintained. So they want you to be in debt forever. So another anagram for eternal God rather than goaltender. Eternal God is also goat lender. So make debt sustainable in the long term in cooperation with the private sector. Make available the benefits of new tech. That's the IoT. That's the information of, or the Internet of Things, information and communications technology. I think that that is what's going to be getting us in trouble soon. Also, eternal God. Eternal God is also G.E. Golder or Greet D. Loan. Remember D-Day, the beginning of the end that Colonel Perna said during the Operation Warp Speed? The beginning of the end. D-Day. Anyhow, G.E. Golder. Remember that ad long time ago? We bring good things to life. Remember that? We bring good things to life was an advertising slogan used by General Electric between 1979 and 2003. And this Millennium Development Goals was between 2000 and 2015. So that falls into that, but we bring good things to life. So Eternal God is also Taloned ERG. And look, this is a logo for the company's Embedded Resource Group, ERG Incorporated in Campbell, California. In 2015, this talks about Campbell, California. In May 2015, Embedded Resource Group, that's ERG, a Silicon Valley engineering consulting firm, announced that they have achieved open company status on Glassdoor. Glassdoor, what does that remind you of Glassdoor? Well, let me back up real quick. The Taloned ERG, what do you think of when you think of ERG? Besides this being ERG, ERG being in Silicon Valley, engineers, Taloned, what do you think of United States at all by any chance? Would that happen to remind you of some United States logos we see? Here's one medal. This is the U.S. Aerial Achievement Medal, the United States Air Force. Combat on Terror. It's the War on Terror. That's something that they, look at the electric lightning bolts. Notice all the stars. Notice the little swishes on the backside behind the eagle. And again, sorry for my skipping. Here's regarding the ERG Incorporated in Campbell, Camp Bell, like Tinker Bell. ERG has been the Silicon Valley's trusted choice for engineering placements for over 10 years. ERG specializes in placing software development and hardware design engineers in Fortune 500 companies. That could be your PPPs, public-private partnerships, and startups in the technology industry. Most recently, ERG was honored with the 2015 Best of Staffing Talent Satisfaction awards from Innovero, based solely upon review from their consultants. All ERG Glassdoor reviews are now visible with their open company status. And I don't know why I have this here under the ERG, but it says V, so 5, The Maiden of Darkness, and it's by The Bible of Adversary by Michael W. Ford. So he has there's a whole PDF file that you can get on him. But it's basically about black magic, Luciferian sorcery, Luciferian ideology. And just here it says dedicated to, I don't know how you say it, Arashk, who brought the wisdom of, I don't know how you say that, Ahriman to humanity, who recognized as above, so below. Remember our little Duracell guy? How his thumbs up, thumbs down, as above, so below. Also, eternal God can be Etna Lording. But the Maiden of Darkness reads, that once entered opens to the mortal caress of the ivory pale skin maiden's breast, open with talon, oh that's why I did it, open with talon upon careful incision. Drink deep now and taste her venomed sip of lunar desires not forlorn in our graven bed. So interesting, you've got talons, you've got lunar, drink deep. I wonder what they're drinking. Probably blood. And we're also talking about the venomed sip. And I don't know, most of you may have heard of when I've talked about the unauthorized toxins at that state Senate hearing meeting. They talk about COVID venom that they are allowed to use in experimental inoculations and experiments on people if they want, according to the president. I have all of this to share with you guys. This is just one part, and I'm going to be cutting it short. Pretty soon I'm going to just show you a few more things, a few more anagrams regarding United States of America. So I'm going to look at this where I kind of started, but I skipped. When I started, I was way over here with you guys, but I did look at the GE General Electric, the we bring good things to life, like God brings good things to life. Now, regarding their global partnership goals, the whole, just the whole global rollout, when I look at this word, before I've shared with you, I found that the anagram, one of them is convenient die, and now it's also incentive done. Talk about goals. Incentive, something that motivates an individual to perform an action. So would you agree that if they could instill enough fear about some rampant virus, people running to get the needlecraft, do you think that that would have created an incentive done? So here I've got the arrow down here, fear. So also COVID-19 is also deceive into NN. And when I look at NN is also Daniela, which is also a DNA lie. When you want to look at that, DNA lie, and NN equals DNA lie, and it's also chip. When I go over and look at the word fear also, you got 30 and 92 are their numbers, but fear is also end game beer, and when I look at beer now, I think of Corona. When I look at fear also, the simple gematria is 30, and 30 also equals ending up being Bible, Alice, and Eagle. So when we're talking about talent, and I think of United States when I see that eagle, I know I'm skipping all over, but Eternal God, Taloned ERG. ERG is also with the Silicon Valley Engineering, which they talk about the status on Glassdoor. And this guy also talks about talons and the Maiden of Darkness. And when I think of the Maiden of Darkness, I think of her who just recently passed. Look at that. She really pushed for the needlecraft. In fact, both of them did. Queen and the Duke Edinburgh, who is Prince Philip, both died. I know they're elderly, but they both happened to die just months after taking the needlecraft. And according to an article on January 9th, 2021, COVID-19, Queen and Prince Philip receive the needlecraft. And I also looked into the anagram for Windsor Castle, and guess what I came up with? I came up with silent cowards. That's interesting. And both Windsor Castle and Jewish gematria is 1392. 1392, silent cowards. 1392 here is also shut down. So I also kind of think of the word crown when I think of them. 73. 73 is also sacrifice. And when you look at the word crown, it's CR, New World Order. CR, New World Order, NWO. And CR, New World Order, the simple gematria is 257, and so is Father, Son, Holy Spirit. They're both 257. And so is the word government shutdown, is also 257. Isn't that sort of strange? And CR New World Order, NWO, is also Rothschilds. They're both 135. And you know how the whole like Alice in Wonderland thing, it seems to have a lot of yellow and orange in it, or red and orange. That's the Queen's procession. So I found that rather interesting, the orange and yellow theme. And also they talked about the late monarch's coffin was escorted by 142 members of Royal Navy, the Royal Navy, 142. And 142 is also that, the COVID virus. And going back to the anagram for that, COVID-19, incentive done. It can also be looked at as deceive into NN, and we looked at that. NN is a DNA lie or chip, and a DNA lie, the gematria for that also is who. Who is the same numerology, 276, and it's also soul and mRNA and chaos, which we've seen enough of that, haven't we? Okay, so my next video, I want to follow up with this because, well, maybe I'll just do it now. I've got a couple more minutes. When I look back up at that United Nations Millennium Summit, their goals, the global goals, and their order to make debt sustainable, that means ongoing forever and ever. And also when I looked at sustain, it's to support physically from below. And when you think of that, below is kind of like hell. But debt is also considered usury. And this also says usury is the practice of making unethical or immoral monetary loans that unfairly enrich the lender. The term may be used in a moral sense, condemning taking advantage of one other's misfortunes, or in legal sense, where an interest rate is charged in excess of the maximum rate that is allowed by law. And one reason why I brought up Queen Elizabeth was because usury, it talks about usury. It says it first became common in England under King Henry VIII. She's got a little drop of blood of King Henry VIII's bloodline. Let's see, by my calculations, this makes Henry VIII the Queen's 14th times great uncle, at which level she has 1/32nd part of Queen Margaret's blood. It's all in the bloodlines. This is off the subject, kind of, but Richard, Duke of Gloucester, isn't that Interesting, he looks a lot like Bill Gates. I wonder if they're related. They're 11 years apart in birth. That's beside the point. Let's carry on. So I'm going to go back up to the ERG. Becomes an open company on Glassdoor. The ERG, and I came to that from the Taloned ERG from Eternal God Anagram, and the ERG is the Silicon Valley engineering consulting firm. So looking on the Google Maps, it's Embedded Resource Group. Embedded. Campo, California, ERG Inc. And if you look at the map, there's embedded at the bottom left kind of, and there's lay tip of Silicon Valley right next to them. So here's erg.com, ERG Eastern Research Group. Safety, ensure the safety of food and drugs. Or the ERG Inc., which is it? Silicon Valley Engineering Consulting Firm. That's the one I was reading about. So here's looking at them. Team BIOS. Silicon Valley. You know what Silicon Valley anagram is? It's sly eco-villain for Silicon Valley. And looking at the Alice in Wonderland, one of the anagrams I came up with was NWO, so that's New World Order, Alliance Ridden. You know that whole saying, we're all in it together, we're all in this together, like alliance, you're all in it together. And some of the gematria that I came up with regarding the looking glass, it's MasterCard, scared marks, scars marked, those are the numbers, and it's 102 is looking glass. So you flip that around, it's 201. I should say the MasterCard is 102. Flipping that around is 201, but the looking glass is 394. And looking glass at 141 in the simple gematria is also I am the storm and false prophet. But I saw this advertisement for Alice in Wonderland. It's in Indianapolis. It was sold out, and it was all about finding Alice. And Alice in Wonderland, I guess it's also the same as George Soros. Oh, is that sold out? Let's see, let me look again. No, so it's sold out is what's equivalent to George Soros sold out this event that they did. It was in Indianapolis. It's also Edmund de Rothschild. And this event was sponsored by Cluedupp Games, which I looked up at Pulp Queued. So it says a brilliant day out with family and friends, and I want to show you some of your the images they showed. So you meet and group up with teams, and you have to go through these little, I don't know, you're finding stuff. You're supposed to find Alice, but look how every single one of them is on their phone. The weaponry. Again, they're all on their phone. And Cluedupp Games is also equal to Russia Attack and Quantum Field, Supreme Lord God, and Ray of a Light Beam. So this exciting live group event is also, they said, a worldwide phenomenon. How do you say that? Phenomenon. What else is a worldwide event, I wonder? But the whole thing is to find Alice, and you only have so much time to do it. So those are some of my anagrams. AI cell and Alice equals Iliac. And they show a video on this, and they say, let the game begin. And Alice is seen walking through these woods, and she says, let's see, there's Alice in Wonderland. Okay, so she says too, she goes, curiouser and curiouser, and that's where I got the word usury. So curious and curiouser, the anagram is also reoccurred in a usurious. And usurious is the practice of usury, and that's when you loan more than the people are able to pay out their debt, referring to the interest on a debt which exceeds maximum interest rates allowed by law. And Alice is also ICL, as in beer, as in Corona. And when they say find Alice, and I saw the anagram to the right underlined there in red is ILEAC. And when I looked up ILEAC.org, they are the Indiana Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission, and ILEAC administers the development of a set of standards and best practices for agencies across the state. And they are sponsored by the Rogers Group. So again, we've got this yellow color. So one team, one mission, committed to public safety professionalism. Again, public safety, like they're trying to make us safe. And they show Alice pushing this mirror here, and that's man in the mirror, MAGA Capitol riots, and a storm is coming. All have the same numerology. And that Curiouser and Curiouser, the anagram was our audio circus insurer, and also UN reuse our radio circus. So I also looked at the United States of America, and I'm going to share more about some of the anagrams I found with this, but one, just one, because I was looking at the radio circus regarding the UN reuse our radio circus. United States of America is EMFs, that's electromagnetic frequencies, a saturation deceit. So basically, a trick. And then also here in this Alice in Wonderland little game thing that they're doing it all over the country too. They're going to be doing this where people are, they group up in teams and they find Alice and they all have their phones. And to me, I think it's they're setting up, they're doing some kind of beta testing or something to see how they can track people on their phones and people in groups. But it says drink me, and I found the anagram mind irk among other things, but cell signaling technology, irk signaling. And it also said Mark Kep, and I am running out of video room, so I'm going to have to cut this short here, but there's the EX, there's your little swish thing. That's also part of the Shriners look, that green thing. But Kep Infolink here, that's the HMI human machine interface. And when they say made in America, it means something. And look at the keyboard under there, that board, that little chip. So I'm going to leave it off here, and then we'll get back to what these symbols really mean. But we're really just getting started here. That's Alice, but we're getting started, and it's just the beginning. So hold tight. My next video will cover this and how Elon Musk is involved in all this, and I'll see you guys later.